Tonight on Evening, the 10-year-old Bremerton boy teaching kids the ABCs of indie rock.
I'll be talking to the extraordinary star of Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist.
And then molecular coffee. Meet the Seattle men behind this new brew.
Fascinating. Plus, Ciscoe will be here to tell us how to care for a popular houseplant.
Oh la la!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evening, and I'm so happy that our gang is back together after a short break.
I know, it feels really good. There's always that nervousness at first, but so glad to be back. We hope you had a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year.
Absolutely. Hey, if you're wondering what to do with that Christmas money that Grandma sent you, here's an idea.
Yeah, a 10-year-old Bremerton boy has written a book that could turn your preschooler into an expert on indie rock.
Music's always been one of my favorite things, and most genres I love.
10-year-old Jude Evans has already been to the Coachella Music Fest 5 times.
Like usually every Christmas on my list there's like a bunch of records on there.
He plays in 4 punk bands. And now he's an author.
When I was 3, my dad was reading to me and asked me if there were any books with my favorite bands in them and where they were from at the time, and he looked it up and he said no, so I decided to make this. And at the time it was for me, but now it's for other little kids to read and learn the ABCs with.
Kids that will also get a head start on their indie rock cred.
Arctic Monkeys, Jaguar Moss Mouse, Tame Impala, Vampire Weekend.
So Jude, what letter had too many bands for you to choose from?
Probably A, because like Arctic Monkeys, Arcade Fire, Animal Collective, there's a bunch of ones. And also G, because Grizzly Bear, Gorillas, and Glass Animals.
San Diego artist Chloe Becky spent nearly 2 years illustrating the book.
Are you a music fan?
I'm a big music fan, yeah. My dad got me into music when I was a kid. He used to take me to shows all the time. And it was cool because there was a lot of bands in there that I like as well. So it was fun to do. It was a really fun project.
So fun, this pair may team up again.
Could there be a follow-up to this book?
Yep, punk rock bands. And that one probably wouldn't be for little kids because it's like no punk rock with no bad words, so.
Take it from a kid who knows more than his ABCs.
Wow, he's quite the kid. And how cool is it that he's been to Coachella, 5 times?
Yeah.
I feel so unaccomplished.
I know.
After that story, Saints.
Well, if you'd like to get a copy of the book, we, of course, have the link on our website at king5evening.com.
Well, NBC's musical dramedy, Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist, makes its season debut. Right after this very show, I had a chance to talk to Jane Levy, the star. It seems to me life on the set must be a lot different because of the COVID restrictions in place. Like, how has it affected the filming, especially when you're thinking about these performance scenes with the dancing and the singing and everything?
I'm not sure I could explain the protocols to you very clearly, but there are professionals up here who are on set at all times. I wouldn't say policing our activity, but making sure we are keeping one another safe. I mean, coronavirus has changed everything.
Before you took on the role of Zoey, you didn't consider yourself a singer or a dancer, but after episode, was it 9 last season, where you sang and danced it's episode 8, sorry. You sang and you danced your way through the entire show. You can't say you're not a singer or a dancer anymore, can you?
I think you're right. I think at this point, I am Jane Levy, actress, singer, dancer. I was really nervous about that particular episode, and I am really proud of it. Definitely a lot of work, but fun work, and very much things that I'm interested in doing, which is like physical comedy, farcical comedy, rooted, deep, vulnerable family drama, singing, dancing, singing while crying, singing like a lunatic.
Sounds like me in the shower. The end of last season took a very strong dramatic turn, so I imagine you're going to be dealing with the repercussions of that throughout this season as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so at the end of season 1, Zoey loses her father. It's not much of a spoiler. You know, that's what the whole season is about, is him slowly dying. And so the beginning of season 2, Zoey is still very much grieving her father's death and will continue to, and I believe her grief will start to change shape throughout the season.
Well, the show does such a wonderful job combining heart and humor, and I am looking so much forward to season 2. Thanks so much for talking to us, Jane.
Thank you.
Wow, Jim, that was the best celebrity interview of our short year.
You know, usually I don't agree with you, Saint, but thank you. Right after this show, you can catch the season premiere of Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist.
So we know that here in the Northwest, we are obviously known for coffee day or night. I'm actually having some right now, but it's about to get even more interesting in the new year.
Yes, there are 2 entrepreneurs who have come up with a new type of coffee, one that doesn't use beans.
Inside this building in Pike Place Market is a lab where the founders say they are creating the future of coffee. It's called Atomo, which means atom in English. In this promotional video are all the signs of the beverage many know and love, but it is molecular coffee.
We have found a way to create exactly what the bean produces without even having to grow a bean.
Jarrett Stopforth and Andy Kleitch are the founders. They say instead of beans, their coffee is made of upcycled plant materials like pits, seeds, and stems from U.S. farmers.
We actually get to determine what it tastes like by adjusting our processes, so we've reduced the bitterness compounds and the acid compounds, thereby creating a smooth cup of coffee that doesn't require cream or sugar.
And you may be wondering about the smell. Does it smell like coffee? Kleitch and Stopforth claim Atomo has that too.
We call it the aroma bomb, just right in your face. And so that's one of the things that we really focus on here, is recreating the aroma bomb. So when you wake up in the morning, your house can smell like a great cup of coffee, and that's what we're replicating with Atomo.
And yes, each cup of regular Atomo will have caffeine, roughly the same amount found in traditional coffee. But the mission behind Atomo is actually grounded in concerns about climate change and the impact of growing coffee demand on the rainforests. They hope the Atomo process will alleviate some of the pressure on our environment.
We're not trying to replace coffee, but we want to provide a sustainable choice.
Atomo will roll out their first product later this year, a cold brew, and then they'll move on to ground coffee and molecular beans. I'm sure you have a ton of questions, so if you have them, just head to king5evening.com.
Still to come, Kim talks to the cast of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and it's one of the most popular houseplants around. Ciscoe shares his tricks for constant blooms.
Well, welcome back to Evening from Our Homes. I have to confess, I binge watched something for the first time in months. I did Bridgerton on Netflix. Did you guys binge anything?
Yes, not that, although I have heard good things about it. We are currently obsessed with Cobra Kai, also on Netflix.
Huh, it's, is that good?
Yeah, it's really cheesy, but if you love Karate Kid, and who doesn't, you kind of gotta watch it.
I didn't. I will not be watching. My family has been binge watching this new show called Dexter. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. This is what I do. I binge watch like 12-year-old shows. I got up through season 4. The end of season 4, I just said, I don't like the way that show just went. I will not be watching anymore.
Yeah.
Good call.
It's way too disturbing.
Finished binge watching 000 on Prime, which I think made a lot of top 10 lists, and it is super violent, so maybe not for everybody. You know, the new year means that there is a new season of streaming on Netflix.
Well, yeah, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is back.
Yeah, but this is the final season of the teen horror show, so I talked to the cast about their journey.
You really are something, you know that?
Sabrina may be the most stylish half-witch around, but star Kiernan Shipka has dialed it down during the pandemic.
When it's from your couch, it's a lot easier.
Right. I'm tempted to ask everybody that I talk to, do you look the same from the waist down as you do from the waist up? Or are you in sweats? How do you think Sabrina would have dealt with quarantine?
If she just put her classic protection spell, Qui effecto protego mixtique ubis serpentibus et posteris maister pique. She could go out the door and be fully protected. So she might.
My mind was blown there for a minute. Sorry. I meant like my soul left my body as you started reciting that spell with no problem.
It's a weird thing to like drill these words into your brain so repetitively that they essentially take housing in your brain, and it's a weird thing to kick them out.
Based on the Archie comic book series, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina follows a supernatural group of friends as they come of age. And for the young cast, shooting the series in Vancouver, BC was a pivotal time.
So I have to ask if you have a particular lovely memory of spending time in the Pacific Northwest.
So many. I miss it every day. Our weekends when we would finally not be working and we'd all go sing karaoke and walk down the streets and dress up and have a great time. And then the very next morning we'd be carted off to like a rock quarry in the mountains, and it was just such a well-rounded and beautiful experience up there. I'd love to go back.
But season 4 marks the end of the Supernatural series.
Okay, since this is sort of at the end of all of your journey together, I was hoping we could start with some sort of senior superlatives. Class clown.
Ross. Yeah.
Ross. Okay. Biggest flirt.
Gavin.
Oh, me.
100%.
Okay. Wow, that was,
Yes,
I barely got out the words and you knew exactly who it was going to be.
Yeah.
Most likely to climb Mount Everest.
Sam. For sure, Sam.
He's probably on Everest right now.
Best karaoke singer.
I was performing The Climb by Miley Cyrus, and I did do a knee drop and rip my pants in half, so I think I deserve best just for like passion.
Most likely to actually try to cast a spell in real life.
Us.
After 4 seasons of intense training, they may just have some luck.
So let's finish this the way we always do. Together.
Kim, may I just say, best celebrity interview of our short new year. That was great.
Thank you so much, Saint,
You
from the
said
bottom of
that
my
to
heart.
me
I appreciate
earlier.
that.
That was
Nope.
supposed to.
This now jumps over that.
Okay.
But I think
Mine
it
is
will
the best.
hold because the senior superlative thing was pretty epic. I thought that was cool.
Thank you. They were so cute. And in deference to you, Jimmy, since you always start shows late, all 4 seasons are now available on Netflix.
Oh,
There
good.
you
In
go.
10 years, I will watch those.
Well, speaking of seasons, have you all noticed that houseplants are having a moment right now? It was on some of my kids' Christmas lists. It's like houseplants.
Yes.
They really are. And gardening guru Ciscoe Morris has a favorite houseplant. It's a little fuzzy and it flowers. Here's more.
I love the living tweedle out of houseplants, and one of my favorite is African violets. But there's nothing more frustrating than when you got an African violet. You've had it for like 2 years and it never bloomed, so I'm gonna try and show you the tricks to make sure that your African violets keep blooming. Number 1, and that's really important, I always grow them in just a little plastic pot. When I put them inside, you could buy these really cool pots at nurseries. Then the real trick is you never pour the water on the plant. That makes the leaves rot. It'll just wreck them. Now, you don't want to overwater your African violet. So before I ever do it, I lift them up and see if they're really light. That's when you want to give them another drink of water. You don't want to wait too long. As soon as they feel light, do it. Now I'll pop it right back in there. Lighting is really critical for these plants. I have mine on a west exposure right in a big window, but I have a sheer curtain in front of it. They just love that. Don't let direct sun hit them, it'll burn them up. Another thing you want to do is fertilize. This is Miracle Grow Bloom formula. I fertilize my African violets in summer once every 2 weeks, half strength. In winter, once a month, half strength. That's really important. And you want to keep them deadheaded. So the minute you see a dead flower like this, you go ahead and pick that out. If you're doing everything right and they're still not blooming, there's two things you need to know. Number one, they have to have 8 hours of darkness every night. That's very important. Don't stick up by a night light or something like that. Number two is they can get too crowded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna divide this, guys. Take my little knife and voila. I now have 2 plants for the price of 1. When you first divide them, that could be kind of tough on them. I'm gonna put it back in the same place I've been growing them, but I'm gonna make sure that the plant has really high humidity by putting a plastic bag over it, just like that. So African violets are beautiful plants. They bloom nonstop, and it doesn't even take a horticultural genius like me to make it happen. Oh la la.
Okay, kind of a sad fact. Our post-production editor, Stacy, who loves houseplants, she has a couple of African violets, but they're still in our office.
Ooh, we haven't been back at our office since March.
Yeah,
So
nothing's going to save those
plant.
plants.
Coming up, the Northwest nonprofit providing hope to families in need.
We are back. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, well, we want to tell you guys about a nonprofit in King County that is giving hope and a home to those dealing with homelessness, and it's really having a huge impact on their lives.
Cranes are survivors. They've lost homes and habitats over the years, but they still fly and fight and thrive.
It's a blessing, and I feel really blessed.
It's only fitting you'll find this art outside of Almquist Place, one of Plymouth Housing's locations, because the people you'll find here are survivors in their own right.
I was introduced to Plymouth Housing from the REACH program. A man, Garrett, he found me under the bridge on Spokane.
Ruben Leos is a former contractor, and for a period of time, he was homeless. But after being introduced to Plymouth Housing, he has a safe place to live and a support system to help him thrive.
Making sure people can get food, making sure people can have access to health care, making sure people can have opportunities to improve their income.
Plymouth sets their tenants up for success, providing them with a room of their own, mental health counseling, job counseling, and a sense of community that's hard to find for people experiencing homelessness.
And one of the tenants, stood at their door and was looking in and very overwhelmed. And like, is this real? Is this really mine?
And for Ruben, it was the small things that made an impact.
When I first got my toaster, I realized, wow, I own a toaster. That is my toaster.
Primera is one of Plymouth's sponsors because, as Michael says, housing is healthcare.
You need to be in a place where you can have access to hygiene services, where you can sleep in a clean way, where you can prepare food adequately.
And with a doorway can come opportunity.
And being able to move someone in and giving them keys to their home and seeing the happiness on their face is the best feeling in the world.
It's a reminder that even if someone has lost their home in the past, there still can be hope and a home on the horizon.
Most of us are survivors, we're fighters.
All right, if you'd like to find out more about Plymouth Housing, just head to our website, king5evening.com.
Up next, get transported to the Baltic region with a little help from this Seattle choir. Portions of Evening are sponsored by Primera Blue Cross.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sadly we are almost out of time tonight.
It's okay, Kim. You're often the bearer of bad news.
Thank you for that, Jay.
On tomorrow night's show, a local filmmaker is going to share footage of a devastating fire that forever changed the history of Tacoma.
Wow, so that's tomorrow. But then right after this show tonight, you can catch Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist.
Yep, it's the season premiere. Look for that. But right now we're going to leave you with a performance from a Seattle-based Baltic Women's Choir. Now, the video was shot around Seattle last month. The audio, however, was recorded a while back in Latvia. Enjoy it. If you want to see the whole thing, go on over to our Facebook page. Thanks for joining us, and good night.